I was just catching up with a friend and just hearing all about her journey over the past year and a half because we were both in a mindset mentorship group together. And what really stood out was she was having issues in her marriage. And I remember her speaking about that in our group. And she had a powerful breakthrough when she recognized and admitted something that she was scared to admit in front of a bunch of women on a retreat. And with her admitting something that was contributing to the relationship, to the marriage issues that were happening, she had a shift, a breakthrough, which resulted in, or which was a result of taking responsibility for where her marriage was at. Because when we were in that group, I could see how, and she even admitted she was putting the blame on her partner for where their marriage was at. And I love how she was able to humble herself and recognize that, okay, it wasn't just him, it was also because of me, and this is why. And so now I'm taking responsibility for the part where I was contributing to the issue. And then she made some shifts and changes in her life. So I'm not going to share all those details because that's her personal story, but it really sparked this episode today on taking responsibility. So today we're going to dive into taking responsibility for where we're at in our life. And I can speak to this from personal experience because there were so many times in my life with my health, with my own marriage and relationship with my husband, and even in the business where I wasn't taking responsibility. And so, in those moments when things are not going right in our life, it is so easy to blame something outside of us. It is easy to blame another person. It is easy to blame a circumstance. Like, for example, with our health, it was easy to blame Western medicine for why, I wasn't able to get to the root cause of migraines. And so on my journey discovering functional medicine, I was excited because I was like, yes, now I can finally get to the root cause and get rid of it. But then it was easy to blame functional medicine when the migraines weren't getting better. And I'm like, okay, maybe, there's something more. Maybe there's something I haven't learned. Or, it was easy for me to blame the Western medicine doctors for just only being trained a certain way and wanting to push pills. And instead of me actually turning inward to be like, okay, what do I need to learn? What is this migraine here to teach me? And recognizing that it all stemmed from emotions because energy is motion, and I had suppressed and repressed a lot of emotions from my past. I had not learned how to release them, how to let go of things that I was holding on to my past, and I was bringing the past into the present and into the future as if it was still happening. And so once I started to let go of those parts of myself, let go of patterns and conditioning and beliefs, recognizing beliefs and fears that was not in alignment with who I was, that's when things started to shift with my health. So again, there was a period of time where I wanted to blame other people and circumstances for why I was getting migraines. And of course, Western medicine was really quick to be like, oh, it's just stress, it's just stress. But they never taught me how to adapt to stress. And that was the internal work I needed to do because at that time, I didn't think I was a stressful person. I thought I was a high achiever, So when the doctors were telling me, oh, it's just probably stress, well, I'm like, but I'm a high achiever. Like, I know what I want, I'm going after it, and I'm doing it. But didn't recognize that, okay, by going after what I wanted or what I thought I wanted at the time and doing all these things, chasing after achievements, getting a lot of stuff done in a day, it was depleting my energy. It was creating internal stress within me. And me chasing after the achievements was really because of the deep limiting belief I had, I'm not enough. So I needed to prove that I was enough by chasing after achievements, chasing after validation, so I could feel good about myself. But of course, Western medicine wasn't there to be able to help me get to the actual real root. So they were right in a sense that it was stress, but they didn't have the tools to give me to dive deeper into what was creating the stress within me and how to process that, how to move through that and let go and release that so that I could release the tension in my body and reduce the migraines. Instead, they were just trained to put you on a pill. So if you're stressed out, you have anxiety, here's anti-anxiety medication. So I couldn't blame them because they only knew what they knew. They were operating from the programs, the paradigms that they knew they should operate from, how to practice medicine, which was, yeah, you have an issue. If it's stress, here's an anti-anxiety medication. Here's a Xanax to calm the stress, when that only does so much. It doesn't really get rid of the stress because most of the stress is created within me. So again, I had to take responsibility and do the inner work and release what was happening internally that was creating that stress. And as I continued to do that, it was a process, it was practice. Because again, I didn't want to admit that I was the one creating the stress within me, that by being a high achiever, chasing after success, chasing after validation is what was causing that, because of this root belief, limiting belief that I am not enough. So that's an example of taking responsibility when it came to my health and recognizing, yeah, imbalances that were happening in my body. It was because of, yeah, what was going on so much deeper in my subconscious mind that I need to work through, process, and release. Once I recognized that, took responsibility, did the inner work, that's when everything shifted with my health. That's when I was able to really resolve the migraines. And if I still get one occasionally, which is rare now, it's because I wasn't using my own tools. I wasn't processing and releasing. I wasn't tuning into my energy and doing what's in alignment with me. So in a way, it's become, my indicator when I'm off track a little bit. So in terms of my relationship, marriage, with my husband, there were many times where it was so easy for me to blame my husband for where we were at, how I was feeling in our marriage. I felt, I wanted to blame him because I felt like he wasn't listening to me. I didn't feel understood. And it was at a point where we were reacting a lot. We were getting into a lot of arguments. First time was within the first year of our marriage. And I've shared that journey and that story. But also I have to admit that, at the time of this podcast recording, we went through another period last year where I noticed we were reacting again. We were starting to get triggered a lot more and reactive. And I had to, again, tune inward because I recognized, okay, whoa, it was so easy to blame him, be like, okay, he needs to be responsible for his energy and how, he's reacting and how he's responding. But then I realized I also needed to turn inward and take responsibility for how I was showing up as well, for what was triggering me, for how I was responding. And so when I started tuning inward, I recognized, yeah, again, I was operating in this low energetic state, feeling like I was not enough. And because I was so focused on what was not going right, what I didn't want, and that had become my reality, it made me react to my husband because he loves me and wants so much for me. Like, he has always seen my potential. He's always believed in me, even in the moments I didn't believe in myself. And because he loves me so much, he wants to see me succeed. In those moments when I was struggling, he would come in and give advice. But that was not the best time for me to hear advice. When I'm in a low energetic state, I don't care what you have to say. I'm quick to react and be like, you're wrong. I'm right. I'm doing it my way. What I've tried doesn't work. Again, I was not taking responsibility for where I was at, wanting to blame, the mentors I was in, the programs I was in, and how their strategies didn't work, instead of tuning inward. And so when we were reacting, I knew that, okay, if I wanted to react less to my husband, I need to actually take responsibility for how I'm responding. So, one, I need to take responsibility for my energetic state. And if I'm in a low vibrating energetic state, I need to shift that. Because if I'm not, if I'm in a low energetic vibrating state, so meaning if I'm focused on fear, if I'm focused on anxiety, worry, overwhelm, frustration, one, what is causing that? And two, shift out of that into a higher energetic state, which is love and gratitude, peace, joy, whatever that is. So I had to recognize, okay, why one, what energetic state, emotional energetic state am I in? Which was fear and frustration, causing me to feel powerless and defeated. And why, what did I create that state? Well, it wasn't because of anything that happened outside of me. It was the fact that I needed to take responsibility for where I was at in the business and recognize that my focus was what was creating that. I was focused on what was not going right and what I didn't want. And so, with that understanding, I was like, oh, well, that's why I'm reacting to my husband. It's not because my husband's trying to help me or something he said, something he did, but because I was in that state, I wasn't open and receiving his support. So, once I started to shift out of that, shift my focus towards, okay, what do I want? What do I want to create? What's going right in my life? It helped me to shift out of that energetic state, and we stopped reacting as much. Granted, we're human. Do we still occasionally get triggered and react? Absolutely. But it's gotten better because we can recognize when it happens. We can stop it from progressing into a big argument and then progressing into saying things that we don't mean that we're going to regret. Because, yeah, I'm sure you've been there in that moment. You react to your partner and you said a lot of things that you didn't mean. And once they're spoken, you can't take it back. Words are that powerful. So, again, I had to look at where did I need to take responsibility? Where was I putting the blame, letting go of that? And then, yeah, from that point, okay, this is where I need to take responsibility for where I'm at. And this is my next step to move out of the state that I was in. And then, the third piece was the business. So basically summed up the business and the marriage in that one scenario, because again, there were many moments on this entrepreneurial journey where I wasn't getting results in the business. And it was so easy for me to blame, the mentors, the programs that I was a part of, instead of recognizing that no, I was actually operating from limiting beliefs and fears, which was causing me to go in overthinking and then resulting in not taking action because now I got sucked into perfectionism because that was my pattern. And as long as I was, operating from that low energetic state and, just allowing the fears and the limiting beliefs to take over, it was causing, my energy to drop. So again, I was in that low energetic vibrating state of like fear and worry, anxiety, overwhelm, and it was causing the specific results in my business. So income dropped, clients stopped reaching out. But of course, I didn't want to take responsibility. I wanted to blame something outside of me, be like, well, that strategy is not working. Well, that coach didn't give me the proper guidance. But really, the only person I had to blame was myself. I was the one, because if I was completely honest with myself, the reason why the strategy didn't work was because I let fear get in the way. And that's what stopped me. The reason why, I didn't receive support and guidance is because, again, fear got in the way. Every time fear, limiting beliefs got in the way, which stopped me from taking action and then resulted in, not bringing in income, not getting clients, etc. So again, I had to really take a look at where do I need to take responsibility for my life? And it all came down to, where am I putting my focus? So every situation, health, relationship, and business, it comes back to, okay, when we take responsibility, it starts with where are we putting our focus and shifting that. Because if we're focusing on what's not going right and what we don't want in our life, what do you think the result is going to be? It's going to be a negative result, a result that we don't want with our health, with our relationship, with the business. So if we can shift our focus and focus on what we do want, what is going right in our life, it shifts our energy. And now we're able to take action from that place and take the responsibility that we need to do to move things in the right direction. So I just wanted to share that with you because that was a powerful realization on my journey. And it's something that I do with my clients when they're not getting results. It's like, okay, where can we take responsibility? Or where can you start to take responsibility? So as you're listening to this episode, where you're at on your journey, where can you start to take responsibility for yourself? And start by asking yourself, who are you blaming? So who are you blaming? Are you blaming someone else? Are you blaming a circumstance? And really get radically honest. Is it really their fault that you are where you're at, that you have the results? Because again, we want to blame, but at the end of the day, when we blame someone else, we blame a circumstance, we're giving our power away. The moment we take responsibility for where we're at and the results that we have in our life, that's when we get our power back. And now I get it. Things happen in our life that are out of our control, that does involve another person or a circumstance that, again, it's way out of our control. But that happened in the past. And that's another thing. We are taking what happened in the past and we're still bringing it into this present moment and projecting it into the future as if it's still happening. And you have the power and the choice to be like, okay, that happened then, it's not happening now. And so you have the power and choice to show up differently, to choose differently here and the now. And once you recognize that, again, you get your power back. You stop giving your power away to things outside of you. And that's when your life is going to change. So hopefully you got so much out of this episode. If this episode was impactful, if you got an insight, if you recognize, okay, where you're blaming, where you need to take responsibility, and it resulted a shift in your life, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message on Instagram at @thekatevasquez. And if you want to dive deeper, if you're having trouble taking responsibility, reach out to me. Let's chat. I'd love to help you work through that piece. So again, reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know, because it's not worth being stuck in this energy, in this state, because you deserve so much more. And it feels so good when you can get your power back and get the results that you really, really, truly desire, because you have that power, you have that control. So again, I'm here to support you. Just reach out and let's chat.